conclusion.
Just here.
Okay, just here.
Okay, please.
Okay, thank you.
Sit down.
Thank you. All right, thank you.
Allora, buongiorno.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to this meeting. We would like to give a warm welcome to His Excellency Msgr Ignatius Kaigama. He's just arrived after a long journey. We have invited him to tell us about what is happening in his country. His country is a big country, 160 million inhabitants, 36 different states in a federation, about 250 different tribes and ethnicities. It is a giant country subject to martyrdom, including what has been happening over the past few months. We have read about bombardments on churches, attacks, terrorist attacks, dead people, about 100 people since the beginning of this year. Very many victims are Christians and Islamic fundamentalists among the actors of these attacks. So in the wounds of this country, we have many questions to raise, but the most important one is connected to what the Holy Father was reminding us, i.e., what does that mean there? What is, in that case, the relation with the infinite we have? Each relationship, each difficulty finds a reason in being in connection with the infinite. What does this mean? A people that is running the risk of being subject to martyrdom, and only the connection with the infinite enables them to have a dialogue, to have peace. And Monsignor is the protagonist of this piece. He's going to tell us what is happening in Nigeria, how the people in the country is experiencing this situation, and what we can do to help them. His Excellency, you have the floor.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Davide Perillo, for the very warm words of welcome. And I am so happy to be here and to see such a lively, very dynamic group of faith communities from different parts of the world. It's really wonderful. What came to my mind when I entered here was the phrase, Il Signore è grande, because he's doing so much. So I'm so happy to be here. Despite all the obstacles, the Lord made it possible for me to come here and share with you. The meeting of this particular year is inspired by the need for friendship. Friendship among all peoples. And I want to commend the organizers of this meeting because it is a concrete demonstration that love and sharing can be a panacea for healing hurts, for overcoming hatred and needless violence, as well as bridging social gaps. the wicked bombing of the World Trade Center in New York in September 11, 2001 is still fresh on our minds. We remember also the many unprovoked attacks in Nigeria and elsewhere on innocent worshippers, on men, women, and children, whose only offense is that they happened to be where they were when the evil attackers chose to carry out their nefarious activity. It is my conviction that violence, wars, genocide, terrorism, poverty, hunger, and all can be minimized or brought to an end if we cultivate and practice through global amicizia, Freundschaft, amitié, that is friendship in different languages. Pope Paul VI, in his encyclical Populorum Progressio of 1967, advocated this type of social relationship and networking, which helps to bridge the gap that exists between human beings in the world. A lady who was very puzzled once asked me why human beings cannot enjoy diversity. Why one human being enjoys making others suffer. Why religious, ethnic, political groups alienate, marginalize, demonize, and visit untold violence on innocent people. It is with the same bewilderment that one would question the rationale behind the aggressive and violent campaign in Nigeria by the Boko Haram, who have vowed that Christians will know no peace again if they do not accept Islam. From their spokesman, Abu Kaka, came a warning recently that they will kill government functionaries, security agents, Christians, and anyone who pretends to be a Muslim but goes behind to assist security agents to arrest them. We will kill the unbelievers, so he said. Their language is that of killing, to kill anybody who does not agree with them. Malam Abu Bakr Shekau, referred to as Imam of the sect, recently called on Nigeria's President Goodluck Jonathan, who is a Christian, to embrace Islam or resign from office. The president himself has been threatened with death. It must be noted that the majority of Muslims and Christians in Nigeria have lived in peace and desire to be good neighbors to one another, despite cases of tension and crisis generated in the past by such issues as the Miss World competition, the application of Sharia, the membership of Nigeria in the Organization of Islamic Conference, Islamic banking, and many others. Also, many crises have occurred in Nigeria which have been interpreted as religious, even though they stem from causes other than religion. In southern Nigeria, and even in the north, one can find within the same family both Muslims and Christians. And there are also many cases of Christian-Muslim marriages which are healthy and peaceful. The problem has been with some puritanical and fundamentalist movements, such as the Maitasine in the 1980s and the latest Boko Haram, whose sole desire is to see a massive and total conversion to Islam. It is no secret that it has been the desire of some prominent Muslim leaders to do everything possible to dip the Quran into the Atlantic Ocean. That is a way of saying that from Sokoto, the northern part of Nigeria, to Lagos, the southernmost part of Nigeria, they believe that Islam must dominate. This was the motive of the jihad of Usman Dan Fodio in 1804. He wanted to spread Islam as far as possible, widely possible in Nigeria. Also, the introduction of Sharia in some northern states by the governors is also an attempt to spread Islam and make Nigeria an Islamic state. Nobody quarrels with such a legitimate aspiration. Generally, every religion would like the expansion and they would like an increase in fellowship. The Christians want Christ to rule the whole world. That is why sometimes they say Christ for the world. Some countries refer to themselves as Christian nations. Even in Plateau State in Nigeria, the capital of Plateau State is Jos, called J-O-S, and people interpret that to mean Jesus, our Savior. Nobody should quarrel with the aspiration of Muslims or Christians in Nigeria for desiring to dominate a particular region with their religious beliefs or to seek converts. This, however, must be done through peaceful and civilized means, and methods such as gentle persuasion and religious witness that attracts conversion rather than terrorism born out of religious fundamentalism. I am limiting myself to northern Nigeria, not because Nigeria as a whole is not affected by the ongoing violence, but because the impact is more felt in northern Nigeria. The southern part of Nigeria is affected in the sense that when Christians are killed in Maiduguri, Damaturu, Kanu, Yola, Jos, or Kaduna, you find out that most of them come from the southern part of Nigeria. When their dead bodies are brought back to the south, this generates anger, a lot of anger. But for now, the anger is repressed. But I'm afraid that very soon, that repressed anger will burst, and there will be terrible reprisal attacks. Boko Haram is certainly tempting Nigeria to enter into war. Boko Haram is pitching the north, which is largely Muslim, against the south, which has a strong Christian population. And if decisive measures are not taken, I tell you, the situation will be horrible. What is likely to happen is that northerners resident elsewhere in the country, even if they are not Muslims and may have no affinity with the cultural group which Boko Haram emerged, but because they are generally called Hausas by the southerners, they will become targets for elimination. When that happens, there will be increased attacks in the north on both the northern and southern Christians, thus setting the stage for an eventual violent and prolonged civil or religious war. May God forbid. Nigeria was colonized by Britain, and the country is divided into 6 geopolitical zones with over 160 million people. God has blessed us with immense natural resources, yet our poverty rate is alarming due to widespread corruption. And corruption gives birth to so many agitations. We have witnessed crises involving communities over ownership of land and alleged marginalization by the northerners, the southerners, the westerners, and easterners. You must have heard about the Niger Delta youths, militant, fighting, and killing. You might have heard about a group called the Movement for the Actualization of the Sovereign State of Biafra. They want their independent state and they fight to get that. You heard of the group called Odua People's Congress. They are also from the West, alleging that they have been politically marginalized. In the north, we have crises of all kinds. In the west, there are crises of all kinds. And the crises don't seem to end. The uprising ensuing is because peaceful and genuine aspirations of the people are disregarded over long periods. What is disturbing is that today in Nigeria, the group called Boko Haram and its collaborators are attacking people indiscriminately. They are unleashing terror on innocent citizens, especially in the north, a situation that has created great tension and fear. The north comprises 19 states in Nigeria, including the Federal Capital Territory. And these states have witnessed continuous violence, suicide bombers who attack churches, mosques, and security formations, killing innocent citizens and non-citizens alike. Boko Haram has attacked several churches. I don't need to mention their names because you don't know these churches. But the fact is that they have attacked so many churches, whether in Borno State, in Bauchi, in Gombe, in Kano, in Niger, in Niger, in Kaduna. They have attacked so many places. The Boko Haram has attacked the United Nations building, killing people there. They have attacked the police. They have attacked the military. And they continue to attack. Even the university in Kano was attacked by Boko Haram and many people killed. Among the recent attacks were the bombing of even the mosque in Borno, where a great Muslim leader is presiding. In Sokoto, the Boko Haram has attacked. That is the seat of the caliphate. In Kaduna, they have attacked. In Kano, they continue to attack. And the police recently said they discovered a total of 963 improvised explosive devices from January 20 to date. That is in Kano alone, which means that this Boko Haram is well coordinated and they are well prepared to unleash terrible havoc on innocent citizens. There is no end to their cruelty. Just last week, Christians were killed in the Deeper Life Church in Okene, Kogi State. Plateau State, where I come from, and Kaduna States are usually in the news because these are the states that divide the north from the south. And in these states, most of them are Christians. And there is a struggle. The Muslims would want to have a control in these states, but the local people there would want to resist. And that is why you hear often in Plateau State, Kaduna State, there is so much violence and destruction. When I led the Catholic Bishops' Conference to see our President, Goodluck Jonathan, recently, we expressed our displeasure over the insurgency of Boko Haram and its effects on the unity of the country, insisting that criminality and terrorism should not be negotiated, even as government continues to respect the views of ethnic blocs and groups propagating legitimate causes. We alerted President Goodluck Jonathan on the outright denial of Christians in the north access to land and the revocation of rights of occupancy. The Bishop of Kano will tell you when he builds a church up to this height, in the night, they go and destroy it. He wants papers to own a land where they can build churches or anything related to religious work. They will never give you the certificate of occupancy. In some of these states, they refuse to teach Christian religious knowledge in primary or secondary schools, even though they teach Islamic religious knowledge. In some of these states, they will not broadcast Christian news or Christian programs on national or state radio. They will never use the media to give the news of Christian activities. They will not give even the universities and other tertiary institutions land to build their church where they can worship every time. But the Muslims have their mosque and they can worship freely. These were the things that we told Mr. President, that something is wrong. Nigeria belongs to all of us, but we feel marginalized in that sense. That you go to Kanu, you go to Sokoto, you go to Borno, and you cannot get land, and you don't feel you are allowed to practice your religion is dangerous. Whereas the same people who come from Sokoto or Kanu, they come to Jos, they come to Kaduna, they want land to build their mosque, they want their rights, and they are given their rights. Why can they not give the right to other Christians who are in their place? So I align with those who hold the view that the terror unleashed by Boko Haram is a crime against humanity, and very specifically is a gross violation of the rights of innocent Nigerians. The economy of northern Nigeria is going down and growing weaker and weaker as citizens are relocating to safer places. And one can also read a strong political motive in the activities of Boko Haram and their sponsors. They are not comfortable with having a Christian as president of Nigeria. And that is not a secret. They have said it. That if a Christian should be president, there will be trouble and trouble. So we believe that this Boko Haram is being used by some political leaders who are very sad that the North has lost power. They are being used in order to cause confusion, to bring down the government of President Goodluck Jonathan. I am happy that the international community is closely monitoring the situation in Nigeria. Even you that are gathered here, I was told that you are interested in knowing more about Nigeria because what you hear. I am told that you want to know more about Nigeria. That is why yesterday when I came to London and I missed my flight, I was very upset. I told the lady at the reservation, I said, get me on any flight available. I want to be in Rimini. I must be in Rimini. She said, all the flights are booked. So I told her that even if it means sitting on the floor of the plane, she should find a place for me so that I can come to Rimini. But I'm happy that today I'm here. So your interest in the situation in Nigeria is very consoling. This will eventually move all of you and us into a well-thought-out intervention strategy for eliminating the terror group that is causing so much destruction. The United States Congress also recently held a special session on terrorism and the activities of Boko Haram in Nigeria. And they also expressed similar sentiments that people of all faiths and people of goodwill must demand immediate action against Boko Haram. So all of us must join hands to fight terrorism My visit to Italy early last month to receive the International Golden Dove's Peace Award given by the Institute of International Research, Archivio di Sarmo, was a helpful recognition of the increasing violence caused in the name of religion and the need for more concerted response by the international community. While being received by the Vice President of the Italian Chambers of Deputies, Mr. Lupi Maurizio, I was informed that they were sponsoring an online campaign against the activities of Boko Haram in Nigeria and the need for concerted effort on the side of the international community to ensure religious freedom in Nigeria. He mentioned that the online campaign already had about 30,000 signatures. We note the interest and concern of the Italian government also, the politicians and the people in the issue of religious freedom in Nigeria, which is being curtailed by Boko Haram. From what I heard during the Peace Award in Italy, the Italians are trying to galvanize European and international opinion against denial of religious freedom and terrorism in Nigeria. We need more collaboration, not only in the defeat of Boko Haram, but also in tackling transnational crimes like human trafficking, drug trafficking, money laundering, cyber crimes, financial scams, and prostitution. Italian government and people certainly have an interest in Nigeria, and I am sure this interest will infect other European countries so that together we can help, you can help Nigeria. I know the missionaries who work in Nigeria. Here among you, we have the Communion Liberation Group who have come from Nigeria, and they are very active in working for religious harmony and alleviating poverty and many other social issues. I know Sister Caterina, who is working in my village where I was born, Sister Caterina Dolci, for the past 27 years. For the past 27 years, she has lived in Nigeria. She has worked with the poor. Even when the bombs are flying and the guns are being shot, she has remained with us, a sign of her love and commitment. And like I said, in Lagos, you have Barbara and her group who are also trying to play their part in bringing about a better Nigeria. So I invite you all. You come from different countries. I heard the prayers here being said in German, in Spanish, in French, in Italian, in English, and all. If you go back home, please tell your government, pressurize your government to help. That if they leave us alone, Nigeria will be destroyed, and when Nigeria is destroyed, all the other African countries will be destroyed, because Nigeria is a strong nation. If she goes, other countries will go. So you must help Nigeria so that Africa will survive. I share with you my experience in Jos. I became a bishop in 1995 and started a new diocese in Jalingo. Since I became bishop there were crisis after crisis. I spent all my time trying to negotiate peace and to encourage people to live in harmony. It was not easy because you find brothers and sisters killing themselves, even those who are Christians and who go to the same church. When they have disagreement over land, over property, they kill themselves, and that was very, very disturbing. So most of my episcopate has been dedicated to resolving crises. I say maybe because the name my father gave me at birth is Ayaukani, which means somebody who is born in the time of crisis. And that is why in Jalingo, I went through a lot of crises. I was transferred to Jos in the year 2000 as the Archbishop. And before I could settle down, the crisis started in 2001. And since then, the crises have not stopped. Every year we are having all kinds of crises. Either it is ethnic crisis or religious crisis. So it keeps me very, very busy. It makes me feel like a social worker because I go around trying to pacify people. I go around trying to distribute relief because when people have crisis, they destroy their farms, their crops, their houses, and they are hungry and dying. So I have to lead an initiative to make sure that they are fine. Even though we have the government does not do much. They talk a lot but do very little. We have very little in the church, but we're able to use the little to identify with our people. I go to the grassroots. I go to the villages. I spend the nights or the weekends in the villages with the people, so I know their problems. The government officials remain in their offices that are air-conditioned, and they don't have great contact with their own people. So I see myself not only as a spiritual leader, but a social worker. I have to provide education. I have to provide healthcare services. I have to provide water, good drinking water for people to drink, and a lot of other social services. And yet, in the midst of all this, the crises keep coming on and on. And it has reached a point when people are tired and frustrated. Even the young people in Nigeria, in Jos in particular, have become so frustrated. In one of the crises, the youth came together and marched to my house and demanded that I should make money available so that they can go and buy guns. They want to fight the Muslims. I took them to the chapel and explained to them that this is not what our religion teaches. But they say, but we are tired. Every day we are being killed and we can do nothing. These people come with very sophisticated guns and they shoot at us and our children and wives. We are tired. So I told them the Christian way is not that of war, it's that of peace. I was the chairman of all the Christians in Plateau State, and there was a point I got so frustrated because even the Christian leaders from other churches, the Protestant and Pentecostal churches, they will come and pressurize me to do something that I must be very militant. Some would even advise that we should look for money to buy arms so that we can fight these Muslims. Then I tell them that I am not meant to be a warrior. I tell them that my work is to promote peace and not to fight and kill. But up to today, you have many people who feel so bad, feel so frustrated, they want to carry arms and fight. They want to return fire for fire. If there is fire, there is a bomb, you reply with another bomb. So between my youth and the other Christian leaders, and even some people in our church, in the Catholic Church, who are advocating for violence and militant reaction, I sometimes became very lonely. I was a lonely voice because I spoke about dialogue. I spoke about reaching out to the Muslims to befriend them, to encourage that we talk to one another. But many people saw that as compromise. They accused me of not defending the Christian faith. Many times I went to the houses of the Muslims. I ate food there, and we had a lot of wonderful interaction. I suffered for that because I was accused of bringing down the Christian faith and compromising. Just 3 days ago, I went to the mosque in Jos because the young Muslims had invited us to break the fast. You know, they are doing the Ramadan, and they wanted the Christian youth to join them to break the fast. It was very encouraging for me because I have always been encouraging that we come together and break down the barriers. But some people say, no, we must fight to the end. But to see the Muslim youth inviting the Christian youth to come and eat with them was wonderful. I went to that event, and many other people were invited. All the other churches were invited, their leaders were invited, but they refused to come. So you can see the bitterness, the anger, the frustration that this crisis is causing for us. So much so that we have even forgotten the Christian message about love, about reconciliation, about forgiveness, and mutual peaceful coexistence. We have forgotten. So this crisis has brought so much problems, not only because Christians have been attacked, but it has also caused a crisis even in the Christian faith among the Christians. Because you cannot talk easily about love and forgiveness to anybody now. So it is really quite a problem. But the battle continues. We have to continue encouraging people that the only way to solve this problem is through dialogue. But then I say, when your church is being attacked and people are killed, it is so difficult to say, I forgive you, or I embrace you. It's so difficult. And that is where my ministry becomes very, very challenging. Here I see people attacking and killing my people, and yet I have to say, come, you are my brother, you are my sister. In 2004, my cathedral house, the cathedral house was all burned to the ground. All the vehicles we had parked in that compound were all burnt. They attempted to burn the cathedral, and they didn't succeed. They burned part of it. Now, people wanted that I should mobilize the Christians to go out and let us fight. I told them that that is not my mission. So in the face of such provocation, you do not know what to do. And that is why I'm telling you that sometimes you feel so alone, because you are talking about peace, talking about dialogue, and others are saying, no, peace does not work, dialogue does not work. Let us fight. Let's fight to the end. So we continue the struggle to build genuine Christian-Muslim relationship and to build trust. We also encourage the government and the people to understand the sources of this crisis. It is not always true that every crisis is a religious crisis. Because there is so much poverty, so much corruption and injustice, people are easily prone to crisis because of the absence of their basic rights. So we must not blame religion for everything. People like to hang the blame on religion and say religion is the one responsible for the crisis. No, there are some social issues, political issues, ethnic issues, economic and legal issues that need to be addressed. If these issues are not addressed, then we have a cycle of violence. The violence continues to come again and again. Most times we are acting like the ostrich. The ostrich is that big bird. When she senses danger, she buries her head in the sand, believing that she is covered and protected. But that is foolishness because the body is outside. So this is what we are doing. When there is a crisis, we call it Muslim-Christian war or conflict. But we don't go deeper to find out the political, social, economic, ethnic root causes of this crisis. Even when commissions of inquiries are set up, I was a member of one commission of inquiry set up by the president. We worked for 6 months, gave him a report with solutions that can minimize this crisis, but nothing was done. So our work was useless, because if they had implemented what we suggested, we would have been able to avoid the deaths that we have recorded in recent times. So these are the challenges, and I say in the struggle for this, you always feel that sense of loneliness. I go to bed worrying about my people, because you wake up, I get the phone call, oh, they have attacked this village, so many have been killed, they have attacked this village, my catechis have been killed, and it is very worrisome. Even when I have to eat food, I don't have appetite, and I worry a lot, and help doesn't seem to be coming from anywhere, because you go to the government, they don't seem to do much. You go to the military, they don't offer the protection, the police, and all that. So it's quite worrying. So it is a battle. It's a battle that we are fighting, and it's not an easy one. Even among us bishops, it's not all of us that believe that we should use dialogue to resolve these issues. Some say, look, we are tired, we have been pressed to the wall, we must show these people that we too can fight. So when you speak about peace and dialogue, you are almost a loner. But I want to tell you that in my 31 years as a priest, out of which 17 as a bishop, I have maintained that genuine dialogue and reconciliation are the very essential ingredients for social coexistence. There is no other option. I was appointed a bishop of Jalingo, and as I told you, I had to interfere in the Jukun thief crisis, and then I came to Jos. I had to intervene, and up to today, I am still intervening. I'm 12 years as Bishop of Jos, Archbishop of Jos, and every year I have 2-3 crises. It takes away energy. It takes away your focus. But I thank God that God continues to give the grace, even though you are a lone voice, even though you are challenged and attacked, even by those who should understand that the grace of God is there, and we remain solid and say there is no other way than pursuing justice, pursuing peace and reconciliation. I was a good friend of the Emir of Wase, a Muslim. We were very friendly, very intimate. I went to his house, I ate there, I slept in his house for 3 days. He would come to my house and eat and drink without any problems. But people said, no, that should not be you. Why are you so close to these Muslims? But I told them, friendship, amicizia, freundschaft, amitié, that is the way out. And with the Emir of Wase, we were able to show concretely that we can be true friends, even though we differ in our religious worship. This is why I want to thank you for this wonderful concept of friendship. I told you that friendship is what will cure all the ills, the violence, the hatred, and all the terrible things we experience in the world. It is only friendship. When you embrace one another, I think half of the problems will be solved. And that is why the books that I wrote, 2 of them, is about dialogue of life, and then the recent one is on peace, not war. I said this is just the way out. Friendship, communion. My doctoral thesis was on the spirituality of communion. That is what will bring us together. I said that Jesus died on the cross like this. And I think by that he wants to embrace the whole world, the whole humanity. Jesus did not die on the cross like this. He was not self-centered. He was embracing the whole of humanity, and I think that is what is going to cure us and bring sanity. So, I'm almost, okay, all right. That we have been killed during Christmas, that people have been killed during religious worship is a fact. But should that stop us from doing what our Lord Jesus taught us to do? We continue to explore all avenues for bringing hope to Nigeria, bringing hope to Nigerian Christians and Muslims. I always say that instead of cursing the darkness, you light a little candle. If all of you here, you light a little candle, no matter how dark the world is, your light will shine and there will be brightness everywhere. So all that is important for us to defeat terrorism, to defeat violence, is for everyone to light a candle of peace. You light a candle of peace, and I tell you, we can overcome terrorism and violence. And that is why, concretely, we have established a vocational training center where Muslim youth and Christian youth come together. For 2 years, they are learning carpentry, building, electrical work, mechanical work, so as to equip them. For 2 years, they are living together, and then when they graduate, they go home, and we hope they will become agents of peace and that they will engage dialogue when they have differences. I started that school in Jos. When I started it, people abuse me. They say, "Are you foolish? How can you establish a school and bring Muslims to come and be part of it freely? They don't pay fees," because these are disadvantaged youths. We pick them from the villages and we bring them to live together with Christians with the hope that after 2 years, they will be able to know themselves and know how to solve problems in a civilized manner. I was accused for starting that institution, but I had a focus, I had a mission, I insisted. Today, we have graduated the first set of 22 Muslim and Christian youths who have become skilled in different vocational skills, and they have gone home now to become agents of peace. And also, I am in the process of building what I call a dialogue, reconciliation, and peace center, because we discovered that we are always mediating between groups and religious groups, ethnic groups, and they are always coming to my house. Sometimes I have no chance to do my official work, either official work. That is why when you send email, like Perillo will send email, I cannot respond. Marco Luigi will send email, I cannot respond. Either I am in a village settling problems or somewhere very far away. And then you wonder, why did the Archbishop not respond to my email? Either my internet is broken down or I am far away in the village settling quarrels. And that is why you don't get prompt answers. So we continue to work. That dialogue and peace center, I hope, will bring people together proactively. When there are problems, we try to overcome them before they burst into violence. So there is hope. There is hope. That's all I'm saying. We have been attacked, we have been killed, but there is hope. On the 11th of March this year, our church, St. Fimba's Catholic Church, we had just rebuilt the church, expanded the church, and the people were having their worship on Sunday morning when the suicide bomber drove into the gate with the intention of driving into the church to explode his bomb and kill everybody. But there was a small scout boy of about 12 years who was at the gate and stopped him and was asking him questions. But as a result of the delay, the bomb exploded, and even though it was far from the church, the impact was so powerful that this bomb went to the church and killed over 15 people, injured so many people, and there was destruction. That church was destroyed. So I am speaking from the point of view of somebody who has experienced the terrible activity of terrorism. I went to that church. I met so many youths, very angry. They were carrying sticks and stones, and they were ready to fight. And they wanted somebody to lead them. They were very unruly. Even the government officials went there, they wouldn't listen. The police commissioner was there, they wouldn't listen to him. It was only when I came that they said they were going to listen. I went and saw the suicide bomb. The man exploded, his body was still burning. All the parts of the body were still there burning. And I saw the destruction. So I went to the church and knelt down because the Blessed Sacrament, everything was destroyed. So I knelt there and prayed and prayed. I didn't know what to tell the young people because they were so angry. And if I didn't take time, they were going to turn on me and be very rough on me because they have been rough with government officials. They have beaten up some government officials when you are telling them, calm down, calm down. So when I saw these hundreds and thousands of youth, I said, what do I do now? So I just went in front of the Blessed Sacrament that was in ruins. I knelt down for about 5 minutes and asked God to just help me. Let me say something to these young people. After 5 minutes, there was silence. I got up and I told the young people, I said, I am very angry. I told them that I'm angrier than all of you here. I said, if you put all your anger together, my own anger alone is bigger than your own. But I said, if we allow irrationality to take over, we are going to kill more people. So let us remember that it is better to stop at this level than to go on. So I beg you in the name of God, try and go home. Try and just go home. I know what has happened is bad. You see your brothers, they are dead, they are lying there, it is bad. But go home. I think the Lord was with us. As if it was a miracle, the youth just stood up in the church and they walked away without any further protest or violence. So it was truly a miracle of God. So we continue to hope that good things will happen. So like I told you, we initiate different projects with hope that we shall bring these two groups together. And we continue to say that we know the aim of Boko Haram. They said they want to destroy the Christian faith. They want the whole Nigeria to become an Islamic state. And they want to kill anybody who does not believe in Islam and regard him as an infidel. The Boko Haram is even threatening the authorities, challenging the authorities, and ridiculing them because they can attack and kill. Nobody arrests them. So this is where we have the problems. And I'm saying that the literal meaning of Boko Haram is that Western culture is evil. That is their meaning. And they believe that the church is a product of Western culture, and therefore they are ready to destroy the church. If they destroy the church, they will now destroy the Western culture. They want to replace the Constitution of Nigeria with the Quran or the Sharia. What I'm saying is that even though this is happening in Nigeria, it is likely to spread. Boko Haram can appear in your different countries in different names. So we should be alert. Now it is happening in Nigeria. I tell you, they can surface in different countries in different names. And remember that many of our nations that were said to be Christian nations are no longer practicing the Christian faith as it should be. That is why when I entered here and saw this group of young people from all over the world, I said there is hope. Because in some nations, the Christianity is seen as an enemy. Even the gift of children is not valued. The Muslims accept children as God's gift, and they are very feverish in the practice of the Islamic faith, whereas we in the West, we are the harshest and irreverent critics of Christianity. So something is going wrong. When you talk of the same-sex marriage, it is happening in the Western countries, and that is going to affect the demographic equation. So we should be careful. Eventually, the Muslim community, because they admit children, they accept children, they are going to be very big population-wise. So we should be careful that we do not lose the values of our Christian religion. The impact of Boko Haram on Christianity in the north include the declining church attendance. People don't go to church a lot again. They are afraid. They remain at home. Economically, the church is suffering because we depend on the collection of the people. As a priest in Nigeria, I don't have a salary. The priests are not paid a salary. So they depend on the collection that the people give every Sunday. Now, if there are no people in the church, then it means they have no food to eat because there's no money. People don't come to church because they are afraid. So these are the negative impacts. People are running away. They don't want to come for religious activities because they are afraid of being attacked. And then economically, we are also having problems. And our youth are developing a culture of resistance. They don't listen to the message of love. There are over 22 million youth in Nigeria that are not employed. And we say that it is because of lack of employment that these young people are ready to engage in violence and kill anyhow. If we must stop the violence, then the youth must be looked after, they must get jobs, and they must be properly brought up. Because I feel both the Muslim and Christian youth have lost their orientation. They kill and they commit acts of violence without any second thought. So I ask you all to work towards helping us to overcome the menace of Boko Haram. I want to tell you very clearly, like St. Paul, in 2 Corinthians chapter 4, verse 8, that we are in difficulties on all sides. We see no answer to our problem. We have been persecuted. We have been knocked down. And I think that if your countries can help us to build the capacity of our security agents, if your countries can help us to provide modern security equipment, if your countries can help us to provide intelligence, networking and sharing, I think that will boost the capacity of Nigeria to deal a fatal blow to Boko Haram, so that Christians and indeed all Nigerians can enjoy the freedom of worship, and therefore we shall avoid the war that is looming. Because right now in Nigeria, if what is happening does not stop, there is going to be a terrible war. There's going to be a bad war, and we don't want that to happen. My dear friends, we believe that the prayers of all of you here at this meeting in Rimini, you gathered here in your hundreds of thousands, will pierce the skies and bring forth God's shower of peace, not only on Nigeria, but also on our entire world. Our world that is afflicted with violence of multidimensional proportions. I believe that through your prayers, miracles can happen. Nigeria will be freed of fundamentalism, terrorism, and all the violence that we have witnessed. So I ask for your support in prayers. Pray hard, miracles will happen, Boko Haram will be defeated, and Nigeria will survive as a united nation. I thank you for offering me this opportunity to share my story with you. God bless you all, and may God grant us his peace now and forever. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. They have to stop. They have to stop. They have to stop.
This is our friendship for you, for you people.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Don't stop. Ci è stato chiesto prima.
We had been asked before the meeting, why are you going to deal with relation with the infinite? Well, isn't it abstract to say that by nature man is in relation with the infinite? Well, what we just heard as born witness of the opposite. How can we go through this never-ending crisis that and forget this? Well, how can we live? How can we get back to dialogue if we do not have the perception that there is something out there, that there is beyond and bigger than these bonds, that we are indeed the relation with the infinite? And how can we enjoy this relation if it's just in our mind, it's not a practice, if it's not company, as the Holy Father reminded us in his message, if the infinite becomes flesh, as the Pope reminded us, if it gets into history, it generates humans as we have seen. We have the chance to see humans that react without violence and to use reason as much as possible, where you can hug those who hate you, find dialogue back and welcome back the youth Muslims, those students. He reminded us, if the infinite gets into history becoming flesh, then free men can come into being again. And we do need these witnesses. We do need the miracle of God. We want God to be in history, and we want people like him to follow him. We need this not just in Nigeria, even here, everywhere. Maybe we won't be asked to give life in an instant by going to church, but we can give life instant after instant, second after second, on a daily basis. This is why we feel them as brothers. This is why it is of utmost importance to help them with all our means, by starting with prayers, because it is true that prayers can make miracles, and all the initiatives that can support their lives and their faith. Starting by using the subscription, the petition on the internet, praying for them, supporting all the initiatives, for all those who have the opportunity and the strength to do that, and by just referring to this meeting as the very beginning, the beginning starting in Nigeria, the beginning starting in Nigeria with Msgr Kaigama.
Thank you for your kindness.